Imagine your top performing salesperson, right? Like they never sleep.
Oh man, if only.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And they speak 40 languages fluently. Plus, they can have a totally personalized face-to-face conversation with, I don't know, 10,000 website visitors simultaneously.
The dream right there.
Right. They never have a bad day. They never forget a product spec, and they instantly log every single interaction into your database.
No more nagging people to update the CRM.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today on our deep dive, we are looking at a stack of sources detailing a platform called HeyGen. And, we're really unpacking a massive shift in how modern business operates.
It's a huge shift. Yeah.
Our mission today is to explore how AI video and interactive avatars are stepping in to just completely transform lead generation.
Moving it from this passive waiting game into an active 24/7 conversation.
Spot on. And for you, the listener, whether you're like scaling a consulting business, running an agency, or just trying to stay ahead of the curve, understanding this shift is absolutely critical because businesses aren't failing today because they lack content.
No, not at all.
They're failing because their content just doesn't turn attention into action.
Yeah, the sheer volume approach, it simply doesn't work anymore. I mean, for the last decade or so, the assumption was always that capturing attention automatically equated to generating revenue.
Right, just get eyeballs on the page.
Exactly. But the friction between a prospect passively scrolling past a website and actually, committing to a purchase, it's become entirely too high.
Oh, for sure.
So we are looking at a landscape where companies possess these mountains of digital assets, but they remain starved for qualified customers because they rely on this asynchronous one-way communication.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand why this AI video solution is such a paradigm shift, we really have to acknowledge that traditional video marketing, while highly effective at building trust, is fundamentally unscalable for personalized outreach.
Oh, absolutely. It's an operational nightmare.
Right, like we all know video is hard to make. You don't just shoot a quick message. You are setting up lights, managing audio, doing, multiple takes.
And spending hours in post-production.
Hours. The barrier to entry for high-volume, personalized video has always been just the sheer mechanical weight of production. It's like hosting a dinner party where you have to build the house, wire the electricity, and cook the meal from scratch every single time.
That is a great way to put it. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that operational bottleneck is the exact friction point HeyGen is engineered to eliminate.
Okay.
But it does so through a pretty fascinating technical mechanism.
Yeah.
Based on the documentation we're reviewing, HeyGen isn't just like a video editor, it's a generative AI platform.
Right, so it's not just cutting clips together.
No, not at all. It uses these underlying models that map text or audio directly onto a visual representation and avatar. So when you type a script, the system converts that text into phonemes.
Phones being the distinct units of sound.
Exactly, yeah. And then it maps those phonemes to specific visual mouth shapes, which are called V-sames, on a really high-fidelity digital human.
Wow. So it's dynamically generating the lip sync and the facial micro-expressions in, what, milliseconds? Rather than requiring a camera to capture a human doing it.
Yes, that is the core innovation here. You're bypassing the physical constraints of a studio entirely. A business can take a single core message, translate it into 30 languages with zero-shot voice cloning.
Wait, so it sounds exactly like the original speaker?
Yes, exactly like them. And generate polished video files simply by editing a text document.
Okay, I mean, I understand how that scales outbound marketing.
Yeah.
But generating a static MP4 file, even easily, is still just broadcasting. It's still a TV commercial, just a cheaper one. And the source material emphasizes a shift to interactive avatars. So how does that leap actually happen from a rendering perspective? Because, pre-rendering a video takes computing power and time.
Right. Takes a while to bake.
Exactly. So if an avatar is going to interact with a user live on a website, latency would just destroy the illusion.
And that's where the architecture shifts from batch processing to real-time streaming. Instead of rendering a complete heavy video file, the system streams the generative output almost like a Zoom call.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so the AI avatar is connected to a large language model on the back end. When a prospect speaks or types into the interface, the LLM processes the intent, formulates a response, and then the HeyGen API instantly streams the visual and audio synthesis back to the user.
Okay, wow.
It drops the latency to conversational levels, which creates the illusion of a live, synchronous interaction.
Which fundamentally changes the type of asset a business is creating. Like it sets the stage for a two-way street. But this is where I actually want to push back on the source material a bit.
Okay, let's hear it.
So the text makes a really aggressive case against the traditional static lead magnet. The classic PDF guide or checklist you get in exchange for an email address.
The old reliable.
Right. And I look at my own inbox, and I still download those all the time. Are they genuinely suggesting the static PDF is dead?
Well, the documentation doesn't declare the PDF dead per se, but it strongly argues that relying on it as your primary qualification tool is a massive tactical error.
Why is that?
What's fascinating here is the underlying psychology of a static download. Think about the cognitive load you are placing on a prospect. A 20-page document is essentially a homework assignment.
That's fair. I rarely read them past page 2.
Exactly. The business puts the entire burden of progression onto the user. The prospect has to read it, comprehend the framework, map it to their specific problem, and then proactively figure out how to contact the business.
It's completely passive. You literally just throw the ball into their court and hope they throw it back.
And in a high-distraction environment, they rarely do. So the upgrade our sources describe is the interactive AI-led experience. Instead of a landing page presenting a form and a download button, an avatar initiates a dialogue.
Okay, how does that look in practice?
It might say something like, hey, I see you're looking at our guide on enterprise software deployment. What specific bottleneck is your IT team struggling with today?
Okay, I have to admit, my immediate reaction to that is skepticism.
Really? Why?
An avatar popping up and asking me about my IT budget or my internal bottlenecks feels incredibly intrusive. It sounds like the modern equivalent of those terrible pop-up ads from the early 2000s. Do people actually engage with that, or do they immediately look for the little X to close the window?
That reaction is entirely valid. And honestly, it's a design challenge the industry is actively wrestling with. The effectiveness relies entirely on intent-driven triggers, rather than aggressive interruption.
So it's not just jumping out at you immediately.
No, the documentation strongly advises against immediate, unprompted pop-ups. Instead, the avatar's interaction is triggered by user behavior. Like, perhaps they've dwelled on a pricing page for 40 seconds, or they've scrolled through 80% of a case study.
Got it.
The avatar offers assistance contextually exactly when the user is demonstrating high intent but might be hesitating.
Okay, so it's less like a telemarketer calling during dinner
Yeah.
and more like a store clerk noticing you've been staring at the same laptop for 5 minutes.
That's a perfect analogy. And crucially, the avatar isn't just offering help, it's executing a hidden logic map.
A logic map.
Yeah, the system is designed to ask qualifying questions disguised as helpful conversation. Behind the visual interface, the AI is performing lid scoring.
Oh, wow.
So if it asks, how soon are you looking to implement a solution, and the user replies, oh, sometime next year, the CRM instantly tags that lead as low priority. But if they reply, we need this deployed by Q3, their lid score spikes.
That is a massive operational advantage, because anyone can submit a fake email to get a free PDF just for research, like test@test.com.
We've all done it.
Right. But a conversational flow forces the user to reveal their actual timeline and budget, separating the casual window shoppers from buyers with urgent problems.
And the qualification happens in real time, which removes the typical 3-day lag of automated email sequences. The AI can even handle basic objection handling right on the spot.
Really? Like what?
Well, if a user says, your competitor offers this for less, the LLM backend can be trained to instantly respond with a pre-approved value proposition explaining the price difference.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at how this logic mapping actually functions using an analogy. Let's elevate the idea of a digital concierge.
I like where this is going.
Think of an ultra-high-end hotel, right? A static website is like walking into the lobby and finding a map taped to the wall. You have to figure out where the spa is, where the restaurants are, how to book a suite.
Lots of friction.
Exactly. Yeah. But an interactive avatar acts as a highly trained routing algorithm in human form. When you approach the desk, the concierge doesn't hand you a map. They ask what kind of experience you're looking for.
Yes. The routing is the critical function here. The avatar's job is not to close the sale, it's to categorize the traffic.
Right. If you are a highly qualified lead, say, you represent a massive corporate account, the concierge's logic map instantly flags you and routes you to the VIP room to talk to the human manager.
Boom, white glove service.
But if you're a tourist just looking to use the restroom, the concierge politely points you down the hall without ever bothering the management team. The human staff only spends their energy on high-value interactions.
That mechanism translates perfectly to the specific use cases highlighted in the text. Consider a real estate brokerage.
Oh, that's a good one.
Real estate is a notoriously high-friction, high-volume environment. Agents waste countless hours answering repetitive questions about, school districts, property taxes, or square footage for leads that are months away from buying. But wait, how does the AI avatar integrate with that data? It can't just make up property specs. That would be a disaster. It connects directly via API to the brokerage's MLS database.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so a user lands on a property listing, and the HeyGen avatar can dynamically answer questions based on the live data, like what are the property taxes, or are there any comparable sales in this zip code?
That's incredibly useful.
Right. The avatar handles the baseline education. By the time a user requests a physical tour, the human agent is stepping in to speak with a highly educated, pre-qualified buyer.
I see how that works for data-heavy industries.
Yeah.
But what about service-based businesses? Like, the text mentions marketing agencies. Marketing is highly subjective. You can't just quote a database.
True. For agencies, the avatar functions as an interactive pitch deck. The source outlines a scenario where an agency places an AI video on their landing page with this really confrontational hook. Most businesses do not have a traffic problem. They have a conversion problem.
Ooh, that immediately challenges the prospect's assumptions. It breaks the pattern of typical corporate speak.
Exactly. And from there, instead of forcing the user to read long service pages about SEO or paid media, the avatar asks about their current customer acquisition cost. It diagnoses the problem conversationally.
That's brilliant.
Or take a solo operator, like a business coach. A coach's most precious resource is time. The avatar acts as the ultimate gatekeeper. It introduces the coaching methodology and then asks, what is your current monthly recurring revenue?
Which protects the coach from jumping on a 45-minute discovery call with someone who hasn't even launched a product yet.
Exactly. It filters out the noise.
But this brings up a major technical vulnerability. If these avatars are powered by large language models on the back end, what stops them from hallucinating?
The hallucination problem.
Right. If I ask a business coach's avatar a complex question about tax law, I don't want the AI confidently giving terrible off-brand advice just to keep the conversation going.
That is a critical risk. And it's mitigated through a process called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RG.
Okay, how does RAG work in this context?
The avatar is not given free rein to search the entire internet. It is strictly fenced in by a specific knowledge base uploaded by the business, their own transcripts, FAQs, and product manuals.
Oh, so it's working with a closed loop of information.
Yes. And if a user asks a question outside of that fenced data, the system is programmed with a fallback protocol. It'll simply say something like, that's a great question, but I want to make sure you get the most accurate information. Let me connect you with our human support team.
It intentionally admits ignorance rather than guessing.
Exactly. It maintains trust by establishing clear boundaries of competence.
So what does this all mean for actual deployment? Because we really have to address the elephant in the room. When I hear the phrase AI video outreach at scale, my blood pressure just spikes.
I don't blame you.
My LinkedIn inbox is already a wasteland of automated text spam. If every SDR suddenly has the ability to generate 1,000 personalized videos a day where a digital clone uses my first name and talks about my recent posts, the danger of overwhelming the market is absolute.
Oh, yeah. The noise level could get deafening.
How does this technology avoid becoming just the next iteration of digital spam that we all universally hate?
Well, this raises an important question, and the source material actually dedicates a significant section to strict best practices, specifically to combat platform fatigue.
Okay, what do they recommend?
The technology itself is agnostic, right? The strategy dictates whether it is perceived as value or spam. The primary rule of engagement emphasized in the guide is extreme brevity.
Which makes sense, considering the drop-off rates on standard video content anyway.
Exactly. Most lead generation videos should hover between 30 and 90 seconds. But for outreach on platforms like LinkedIn or cold email, the window's even tighter, 30 to 60 seconds maximum.
Just get in and get out.
Right. The goal of an outbound video isn't to replace a 30-minute consultation. Its sole purpose is to create a pattern interrupt. You are establishing a human-like visual connection to answer three things. Who is this for? What specific problem does it solve? And what is the immediate next step?
The text also stresses that the script must sound human. And I think we need to define what that actually means in the context of AI.
Definitely.
We've all read ChatGPT outputs that are technically grammatically perfect but sound utterly robotic. They use words like delve, tapestry, or testament in ways normal professionals never do.
Nobody actually says delve in a casual meeting.
Never.
Writing for synthetic voice requires a totally different skill set than writing for text. The documentation advises writing the script phonetically and conversationally. You have to intentionally insert pauses, use contractions, and favor simple, direct language.
Make it sound like how people actually talk.
Exactly, because the avatar's visual fidelity won't save a script that reads like a dense academic paper.
The placement of these avatars also seems really crucial. The guide explicitly warns against using avatars as a gimmick, just because the technology looks cool.
Yeah, slapping an interactive avatar on every single page of a website just creates cognitive overload. It goes back to your concierge analogy earlier.
Right.
You want the concierge stationed at the front desk or outside the restaurant to assist with reservations. You do not want a concierge standing in the middle of a residential hallway staring at guests as they walk to their rooms.
That transitions from helpful to deeply unsettling.
Very quickly. So intentional deployment means placing them where friction is highest, a pricing cage where users typically abandon their cart, an FAQ section where complex questions cause hesitation,
That makes total sense.
or utilizing them in post-conversion workflows. If I download a white paper, the follow-up email isn't just a boring link. It's a 30-second avatar video saying, hey, thanks for grabbing the report. The framework on page 4 is the most critical. What stage of implementation are you currently in?
And notice what you just did in that example. You ended with a question.
Yep, always.
Every single interaction must adhere to the final best practice outlined in the sources. It must connect to a clear, singular call to action. The avatar's presence is basically meaningless if it doesn't guide the user toward booking a calendar slot, requesting a demo, or submitting a qualification form.
Spot on.
Which answers a massive kind of existential anxiety surrounding this technology. The FAQ section of our source material specifically asks, does HeyGen replace a human sales team?
And the answer is an emphatic no.
Thank goodness.
The documentation is very, very clear that this is not a full cycle replacement for human SDRs or account executives.
It's the frontline filter. It handles the exhausting, repetitive top-of-funnel education. By the time a human salesperson actually enters the loop, they aren't answering basic questions about pricing tiers.
No, the AI already did that.
Right. They're deploying empathy, negotiating nuance, and closing deals with prospects who already understand the core value proposition. The human team becomes a surgical instrument rather than a blunt tool.
It optimizes human capital. You are allocating your expensive, highly skilled human resources only to the most complex, high-value interactions, while the AI absorbs the low-tier repetitive tasks at scale.
So to pull all of this together for you, the listener, the underlying narrative of this deep dive isn't just about a cool new software tool. The future of lead capture is fundamentally shifting away from tricking people into surrendering their email address for a passive document.
It's moving way past that.
The market is moving toward active, intelligent, and guided digital experiences. The friction of video production has effectively dropped to zero, allowing asynchronous web traffic to be treated like a synchronous, real-time conversation.
It really represents a maturation in how businesses respect a prospect's time. By utilizing conversational interfaces, you provide faster, hyper-personalized answers while simultaneously gathering the critical data needed to qualify the lead.
And whether you're trying to streamline onboarding for your agency or simply navigating the modern digital economy, recognizing this shift allows you to spot where traditional communication is failing. You start looking at standard web forms and static PDFs and realize just how much potential energy is being wasted.
It's a whole new paradigm.
But, wrapping our heads around this leaves us with a genuinely provocative thought to explore on our own. We are rapidly entering an era where AI avatars will serve as the flawless, frictionless front door for nearly every digital business.
It's inevitable at this point.
We're going to become accustomed to digital concierges that never stutter, instantly recall our entire home purchase history, and answer complex questions with absolutely zero latency. As that synthetic perfection becomes the baseline expectation, what happens to the perceived value of actual human interaction?
That is the big question.
Will we eventually place a massive premium on the messy, unscripted, highly flawed nature of a human-to-human call, simply because it represents authenticity? Or, and this is the unsettling possibility, will we realize that when we are trying to solve a problem, we actually prefer the cold, instant perfection of the AI?
It makes you wonder.
The next time you reach out to a company, pay attention to your own internal reaction. Do you want a real person who might make you wait on hold? Or do you just want the perfect answer right now? It's a tension we are all going to have to navigate very soon.